Today we're speaking with Adrian from Krypto Kidz in Toronto, right after the decentralized event. Adrian, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad, how about you?
Good, good. So everyone has their Bitcoin story. Why don't you tell us about yours?
Well, for me, my story started in 2009. I was introduced to it by Max Kaiser. He had his RT show and just briefly introduced digital currencies, or digital currency, Bitcoin. And now, at first most people they didn't really get excited about it right away, but for me, I did get excited about it right away because I had grown up with peer-to-peer technologies with a decentralized structure. For example, music, file sharing. Obviously, in my generation growing up, Napster got shut down, but after that, there was just more versions of Napster that were actually better. So I witnessed that and experienced that kind of change and revolutionize the music industry. And soon after that, torrents came about, which was large file sharing.
Right.
And that's where I really kind of knew Bitcoin would take off, because I had experienced file sharing also kind of expand decentrally after the Pirate Bay got shut down, and now there's lots of different versions of them. So when Bitcoin was introduced to me, I immediately got excited because it was decentralized and it was money. That was just what the world needed at that time, was money on the internet, with it being decentralized. So naturally, I looked into more decentralized things, and I came across this book called The Starfish and the Spider, The Unstoppable Force of Leaderless Organizations, something along the lines of that. But it basically takes the concept of decentralization and compares it to nature, and it shows how when something is completely and utterly and absolutely decentralized, it can't be stopped. If anything, it's just going to get bigger, better, stronger in the future. So I'm just excited to see how that's going to happen with Bitcoin, and we already are seeing it with the improvements on the Bitcoin network, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. The volatility is getting better, so good things ahead for Bitcoin.
That's great. Do you want to tell us a bit about the Krypto Kidz initiative?
Yes. So my Krypto Kidz initiative is basically, it has a structure of a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. So I don't want anybody running it. I'm just kind of sparking the idea for what Bitcoin needs right now. And a lot of people are talking about different technologies, like what was being talked about today was SegWit and Lightning Network. But for any of that to take place, there has to be education on a mass scale before any of that can even be discussed and tried to gain consensus on the network. So I'm just trying to help educate people about Bitcoin, help them navigate the network, because there is a lot of misinformation out there right now, a lot of FUD. But we just want to help people get into it with the simple aspects of Bitcoin, which services to use, which products to use, what's the safest, how to make yourself feel safe. So just kind of, and it's all for free as well. I want to do it all for free because that's one of the things Bitcoin is about as well. It needs to be for free because it needs to be the opposite of the system we live in right now, which is all about competition and taking. So I want to kind of start this and let it take off, where it's just people exchanging free information. And if anyone wants to give me something, they can give me something of value back. It doesn't have to be money.
What I find unique about Krypto Kidz is that you really are targeting a younger demographic than I've seen before. You want to tell us about some of your experiences in that area?
I really don't have much experiences in that younger demographic. I just have experiences with everyone of all ages. So I try to treat everyone the same. I try to talk to everyone the same, and not not treat them differently because they're younger. But another reason why I'm targeting kids is because my generation, there are a lot of examples of young kids with amazing abilities and amazing talents, and it's hard to run into them because they're kind of shunned from their strengths throughout their life. But I want this to kind of be a place where young kids can flourish with their ideas, and they're the future. That's the biggest thing. What's the point of teaching older people if they can't pass on the knowledge?
Well, and I think to that point, I think learning goes hand in hand with some degree of skepticism, and I think that's important.
Yes.
And I think you've got a story to tell about a OneCoin event you attended recently.
I do. So a couple of weeks ago, I don't want to say a friend, an acquaintance of mine, he invited me to a OneCoin presentation. Well, at first I didn't know it was OneCoin. He just called me up. We hadn't spoken for 2 years. The only reason why I know him was because we were kind of dabbling with network marketing companies, but I never got into any of them because I quickly saw the structure and how it's pretty much just a pyramid scheme. So I never got into those, and that's where he came from. But he told me, he said, there's a meeting tonight, you got to be there. It's all about this crypto stuff. I know you live and breathe that stuff.
Right.
And so immediately I smiled, because I was like, if there's one thing that's going to come into my life, it's going to be OneCoin. I told my girlfriend, I said, if we go there and it's OneCoin, I'm gonna laugh.
Now, is your friend a true believer in OneCoin? Ruja 200?
We had amazing and very, very successful years, and what we achieved as a cryptocurrency, actually nobody before has done. 3 million users, about 12 million people who speak about us, who are a community. We're in 5 continents, over 190 countries, and definitely we have been one of the biggest success stories out there.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing. The information that they got, they're so strong about it that they firmly believe that this is their reality, because that's all the information they have.
Right.
So I was just I wasn't trying to do anything at first, but the opportunity came about for me because their presentation wasn't working. Meant to be, who knows what, but I went up and I kind of tried to explain to people how there are alternative blockchains and other coins and things like that. It's not just the OneCoin.
Right. Well, OneCoin isn't even really a blockchain.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure if you look behind the covers, you know, it's a database, right?
Exactly.
So
they just said words and tried to tell people without proof and try to get people to join this. So
right.
It was
It's a
ridiculous.
real currency. It's a real currency that's going to be traded on the stock exchange. It's a real currency that is going to be recognized all over the world. Now, there's many, many different cryptocurrencies out there already. So when the internet started, who remembers when the internet started? How many different players were there out there trying to get into the space? But we do know that OneCoin, because of who Dr. Ruja is and what she's done,
They pay him, right?
will remain standing at the end of this. Okay? That's what we do know. If you do your research and the proper research, and you do come to that conclusion, okay, you join us. That's what I decided to do 7 years ago, 7 months ago. I got involved when it was 563. So now, my currency has already gone up by over 2 euros. Okay? And we expect this currency to go up by 10, by 20, by $30, okay? So that's what we're expecting to happen, okay? Now, if we talk about Dr. Ruja and credentials, has anybody in this room ever heard of McKinsey? Yeah, okay. So they're one of the biggest companies out there when it comes to financial matters. You can't get on there unless you're brilliant, okay? So she was a part of that. Leo, I'm going to ask you to speak a little bit more about Dr. Ruja and her credentials.
By the way, the blockchain is very hackable. They said we believe it's not hackable.
I have a special guest in the room, which I wasn't aware of.
No, I'm not going to say that.
I think his name is Adrian.
Hey.
Adrian, why don't you come on up there?
Good luck.
Adrian, nice to meet you. Okay, are you going to talk with a nice loud voice?
Yes.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
It's okay, that's normal.
I know.
Okay? Okay, so Adrian, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. So how many here have heard of the blockchain? And how many here have heard of Bitcoin? Okay, so a lot more have heard about Bitcoin than blockchain. So basically the easiest way to explain the two is that the blockchain is a network and Bitcoin is just a currency on the network. And there's lots of other currencies that can happen on this network, like OneCoin, like altcoins. So Bitcoin is just the first currency to happen on this network. And that's just the simplest way to explain Bitcoin and the blockchain. But there are a lot of other features to it that make also desirable. For example, I'll just kind of explain it simply, but after, if anyone has any questions, specific questions about it, that'll help me answer, that'll help me explain it better, like especially about the mining process about it and things like that.
Local way of making payments quick.
Yeah, so I've seen some of the footage. Did people eventually come on board, or are they just too far gone?
The group of people that were there, they're already, most of them are already gone in the head, right? They're looking for an easy way out, and network marketing is never it. But from the information that I provided, people definitely started getting a bit skeptical. A couple of people stormed out at the end during the question and answers, and everyone, you could feel the energy drop in the room. Everyone just started questioning what was going on and realizing, oh, there's other things in OneCoin. Why am I about to give these people my money? So
right, exactly.
I was definitely happy that I was able to at least change the way people were thinking or stop the way people were thinking.
Yeah, I think that's a public service, honestly, because who wants to see people get ripped off?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was invited there. I didn't know what it was going to be about, but I had to say something or kind of do something to make people stop what they're doing, or at least just think.
That's great.
It was fun.
15. One of the first guys who was offered is that guy in the corner.
Okay, so that's a couple years ago, and it's worth about $8 now.
Correct.
And Bitcoin started in 2009, and right now in Canada, it's over $1,000 for one Bitcoin, and it's been publicly traded for since that time. So how come Bitcoin
But it hasn't been publicly traded since that time.
Well, I've known about it in 2009, and I've used my cell phone and the internet ever since to buy Bitcoin. It's really easy. You can go to an ATM in Brampton and Mississauga to buy Bitcoin. It's really easy. You guys are honestly all getting your money stolen right now. I know about this since 2009, and I'm educating people on Bitcoin, and I've been doing it in Brampton, and they're just trying to take your money. Why not invest in Bitcoin? Why invest in something that's worth $8? It's going to get hacked. They say we believe it might not get hacked, but it's going to get hacked. There's no security behind it. All the mining hashing power is in Bitcoin. There's a whole community behind it. When you talk about cryptography, let's talk about code. There's been thousands of code written for Bitcoin, and there's a whole community behind it, but there's no code, I bet you, written behind OneCoin. Maybe a couple commits.
Can you prove that? And you talk about the code itself. Do you know where most of the mining takes place for Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, mostly China.
Thank you very much.
So why are you asking me questions like I don't know? It's so easy.
So when you talk about that, let's talk about the way that the coin is manipulated for Bitcoins.
Okay.
It can't change right now in any of the algorithms itself. If you want to change,
you can change the algorithm.
It's not going to happen.
Okay, but you can add to it. Yeah, you can add to the original algorithm. The original algorithm is a protocol that was released freely as open source, not closed source, right?
You need a consensus
Yeah.
of those that own it.
And it's been
80% or more than China.
That's to change it. You need consensus to change the code. But right now, the code that exists has it's Canadian dollars over 1,000 Bitcoins because there's thousands of code commits. With OneCoin, there's barely any code commits. There's a whole community coding every day on the Bitcoin blockchain, not the OneCoin blockchain.
No, but because the coding itself is developed to mine the coins. If you're talking about
that's what Bitcoin is developed for, to mine it. That's the incentive to mine Bitcoin.
Solving the algorithm, that's what you're talking about.
So hang on, I'm just going to interject here. You're getting into some technical stuff where the rest of us can't follow. Can we leave this to the end of part of that?
I can do both.
Somebody else answer the question.
I can do both, and you can all have my number later.
I understand that. Let's keep the technical stuff at the end.
Oh, I agree.
Otherwise, everybody else is eating here.
Okay. Thank you, Adrian.
Thanks for your time.